It may be rainy and gray on the outside, but inside historic Memorial Coliseum, the future is sunny and bright for the Kentucky Wildcats, especially on this day, UK Pro Day on the Kentucky campus, as the Wildcats will strut their stuff before representatives from all 30 NBA franchises. Hi again, everybody. I'm Dick Gabriel, along with the All-American Jack Givens, who was an All-American, as I said, at Kentucky, played and practiced right here in the Coliseum, and also played in the NBA. Jack, this is a big day for these guys, but on the other hand, a normal practice day.
Well, Mark Pope's going to do all he can to make it as normal as possible. I get it, but for the players, they see all of these teams represented here. Everyone has that desire to be on the next level. It's going to be awfully hard to stay normal.
We talked to Mark Pope prior to Pro Day. He told us it's going to be, as we said, a regular practice. You see they've already warmed up, practicing skills, drills, defense, offense, 5-on-5. You'll see all but 2 Wildcats there, shooting practices, and the scouts will just take a look at what they've got from these Kentucky Wildcats, and there's a lot of talent.
Yeah, the scouts are interested in the skills and drills part of the practice. I'm more interested in the 5-on-5 because I've been able to sit through a lot of practices, and those 5-on-5 situations have been very contentious. They have been very aggressive. Guys are really going at each other. That's the part I'm looking forward to.
Well, these are the guys who are going at it, and as Jack said, they have been going at it in practice. The word Mark Pope keeps using is competitive. A lot of the folks around here have seen Jasper Johnson, of course, the young man from outside Lexington over in Versailles who played at Overtime Elite. You get your first look at the young man from Croatia. You also get a good look and a first look at Jalen Lowe, the point guard from Pitt. He'll be a key to this Kentucky team. True freshman Braden Hawthorne, Malachi Moreno, we saw win a state championship over in Scott County for Great Crossing High School. So we get a chance to check out a lot of these Wildcats for the first time. But as Jack said, he's had a chance to see them in practice. And as I said, Jack, this young man will be a key. Jalen Lowe out of Pittsburgh.
Well, you hope this is going to be his team. If it is, that means he's getting other people involved. There's going to be a lot of fun for Jalen Lowe. He is going to be a real key, as point guard spot usually is. What I've noticed in practice, and you'll notice today, Kentucky has 2 of the guys who are projected to be their best 2 players possibly. Otega Owe, and then, of course, Jaden Quaintance. Neither of those guys have really been able to work out. Quaintance is doing a lot of individual stuff. Owe has finally started to go up and down the floor with this team. He is slightly getting into the 5-on-5 stuff with contact. He's ready to go. If he had to go, he would be ready. But the question is, why would you rush him when he's had a couple of issues with his foot? Give him time. That's the thinking of Mark Pope and his staff, but he'll be there soon.
Yeah, and he is going up and down the sideline as his teammates have gone up and down the floor in drills, working on that conditioning. And there you see the Wildcats getting loose, just regular drills. Jaden Quaintance, that's him with the sleeve on his leg. He suffered the torn ACL about 24 games into the season last year. So as Jack said, they're taking it deliberately with him, but Mark Pope said his response has been phenomenal. His progress is great.
Yeah, it's interesting for the NBA scouts right now. I know they're looking at this young man and they're saying, my goodness, is he the same guy that played last year? Because he's put on about 15 pounds of muscle. He is a different player, although he has not worked out. And if you look at his body, it's not that 15 pounds. It's not fat, man. It's muscle. He's been lifting weights hard. Yeah. He just kind of looks like a different guy. So even though he won't be able to go up and down, just seeing the development of his body from this time last year to now has to have the NBA scouts salivate.
Made the All-Big 12 freshman team and the All-Big 12 defensive team. And we hear so much about defense now from the Wildcats because Mark Pope had admitted he has flip-flopped the way he's preparing this team compared to last year. Started with offense. It's an intricate offense, as you know, but they came out of the gate scoring and shooting extremely well, but lacked defensively.
Yeah.
Pope said, I'm kind of a freak when it comes to being a coach. I go offense before defense. Well, he's changed, and now, as you said, they're going after each other defensively in practice.
Yeah, you have a lot better athletes. I don't want to go position by position,
Right.
but this team has and you're seeing one right there, Denzel Aberdeen, just a tremendous athlete. Even though he won a national championship with the Florida Gators last year, Kentucky didn't have a player like him on the team last year who could defend from that two position. Sometimes he'll play the point guard spot, but he's one of many who have allowed Kentucky right from the beginning to be better defensively, and that might be the reason why Mark Pope is focusing more on that end of the floor as opposed to offense.
And there's a coach talking to young Malachi Moreno, who, again, a defensive presence, and Pope said there are times you'll see where you'll say to yourself, this guy needs some work, and other times you'll say, where did this guy come from? He's incredible.
Well, what I like about this young man, Malachi has taken advantage of the added minutes he's gotten early because Jaden Quaintance hadn't been able to work out. He is on the floor the whole time going against number 10 there, Brandon Garrison. Brandon has that experience, but I have been pleasantly surprised with what Malachi Moreno has done in practice thus far. You look at him, and I'm from his hometown. I watched him play in high school. He looks like a whole new person. And I might say that a lot tonight, but he has put on another 15 or 20 pounds of muscle. He has been in the gym. But what you will see with him is a lot more aggressive player, especially around the basket.
Well, last year at his high school, really the last 3 or 4 years, he has deferred to his teammates. He's a humble guy. He's all about his teammates. When you talk to him, you've got to work. As you know, you got to work to get him to talk about his game. He'd rather talk about his teammates, and he did that as he led Great Crossing to a state championship. And they had more than one really fine player. It was more than Malachi. But down the stretch, when the championship game was on the line, he took over. And that's something that he's learning here at Kentucky.
Yeah, I liken him to Amari Williams from last year. And I think back to this time last year, and I asked Mark Pope about Amari Williams, and he said Amari is a typical big man at this time. He has gone through his whole career being bigger than everybody else, and sometimes these big guys are afraid to go hard because they're going to hurt they feel like they're going to hurt somebody. And as Amari Williams made progress through the season, I asked Mark a little bit later, and he said, yeah, Amari now, some people he likes and some people he don't. He'll be physical with some by the end of the year, and I look for the same progression with Malachi.
And Amari also, not to interrupt you, but Amari also had to figure out what he could get away with defensively and not be called for cheap fouls.
Yeah, but the point I'm making is that he didn't like anybody he played against by the time he left last year.
That's good.
And it showed in his game. It showed in the fact that he was drafted. Nobody thought he was going to be drafted into the NBA. And I look for the same progression from this young man. He has shown a lot thus far. He's going to get even tougher.
And he was indeed drafted. He was the 46th player taken overall, Amari Williams, by Orlando, and immediately traded to Boston. But, yeah, it's going to be fun to watch Malachi Moreno, McDonald's All-American, Mr. Kentucky basketball, and tried out for the USA basketball under-19 national team. Suffered a minor injury, so had his tryout cut short. Jasper Johnson made that team and won a gold medal. But Mark Pope got to go out there to Colorado, Jack, and watch those guys and work with those guys. So that was bonus time.
Yeah, I asked Jasper about why he made the decision to come play for Mark Pope. Because, he was being recruited by everybody in the country.
Yeah.
And he said the thing that, and I kind of got this through, we have the same barber, although he has a lot more hair than I have, as you might be able to tell.
Yeah, I'll give him the edge.
But his dad said one of the reasons he picked Kentucky was because Mark Pope came overseas somewhere to watch him play. No other coach was in the gym. Mark Pope was the only college coach that flew all the way across the water to come watch him play. And his dad said, if he cares that much about my kid, he needs to come to Kentucky. So, and to just point him out just a minute, Dick, as I've watched him progress, he has improved mentally when it comes to playing the college game. He has improved more that way than he has even as a basketball player. I remember in the summer when they first came in, the first couple of weeks, this young man came in and he was playing as though he had to do it all. On every time he touched the ball, he was like, I got to show this guy I can play. I got to show this guy what I can do. Well, he has gotten to the point where he understands that by making other people look better, his other teammates, sharing the ball, using the screens wisely, hitting the guy as he makes the move to the basket, he's learned that, man, this is what makes me look good. Not me patting the ball all the time and throwing up shots from three and over my head, behind my back, and all of that stuff. So mentally, he's a different player right now, and this only been 3 months.
I'm flashing on a conversation I had this summer with Kyle Macy, your former teammate who played a season with the Chicago Bulls. And I will invoke the name Michael Jordan. I'm not saying this kid is the next, but it reminded me of what Kyle told me. Kyle played with Michael early in his career, and Kyle played with Michael the night he had 63.
Yes.
And Kyle had 7, so they teamed up for 70.
That's right.
But he said Michael really became Michael when he began to trust his teammates more, when he felt like he didn't have to do it all.
Yes.
Like that night, he felt like if he didn't score, they weren't going to win. So it sounds like that's what Jasper's doing. He's trusting his teammates.
A very good point, Dick. And that, in a nutshell, is the improvement in his game thus far. He's better as a basketball player than I thought he was. I didn't get to see him play a lot in high school because he left the area, but that is definitely a way he has gotten better.
He was an outstanding player at Woodford County High School, led the Yellow Jackets to the Sweet 16 his junior year, then went off to overtime elite. But he also, Jack, had to say goodbye to football because he was a really good quarterback, and you know his dad played in the NFL. Dennis,
Yes.
we covered him here at Kentucky, and Dennis was a little bit disappointed maybe that Jasper chose basketball over football, but his middle school coach, Coach Mobley, told me during the Sweet 16, he said, I told him when this kid was in middle school, that's an NBA player.
Yes.
And that got his dad's attention.
Well, and his dad was smart in that he did not make him stay with football. I mean, and sometimes you want your kid to kind of walk in your footsteps.
Sure.
But he was smart enough to know that this kid has a unique basketball IQ and a unique basketball ability. So he allowed him. I say allowed. He did not get in the way of him staying with basketball.
Right. Average 20 points plus for overtime elite, hit 40% from beyond the arc. He will be expected, though, Jack, to be a shooter, not just a shooter, but a maker on this team.
You know, as I've watched practices, Gabe, one of the fun things that I've gotten to see when we're talking about Jasper, just about every day, unless they're playing on the same team, just about every day he's been matched up against Denzel. And Denzel, being the veteran that he is, being the vet, he has tried his best. Denzel has tried his best to punish this young man every time they go at each other. Now, you hear me say that, and you might think, now, that's not very nice. Well, basketball is not about being nice. Basketball is delivering a message every time, especially when you're going against a guy. So Denzel Aberdeen has worked out against that young man, Jasper Johnson, every day in practice. And I can't tell you how many lessons Denzel has taught that young man already by going at him and going at him hard.
And it has helped both players, no doubt. We'll step out. It is UK Pro Day here at historic Memorial Coliseum. Dick Gabriel, Jack Evans. Back in just a minute. here on SEC Plus. Welcome back to coverage of UK Pro Day. This is what happened here in historic Memorial Coliseum earlier today. Measurements, Jack, and I guess you guys didn't do a whole lot of this when you were coming up, did you?
No, we didn't do it this way. The way we did it was just by running and getting ourselves in shape. But yeah, this kind of stuff is what the NBA scouts really look for. That footwork, they put so much more emphasis on that nowadays because the game is played differently than it was in my day. So, yeah, these kind of things are what the coaches look for.
They measure the players in their shoes, and in terms of height, Kentucky has 5 players officially 6'10" or taller. 2 are 7 feet or taller. Malachi Moreno is 7 foot. Reese Potter at 7'1". Braden Hawthorne is 6'8", Jack, and his wingspan 7'2.5". That's phenomenal. He's got long arms. He can go get the ball.
Yeah, and we haven't talked so far about this young man, Braden Hawthorne, number 22 on your screen. I want to just say with this guy, he's a 2 or 3 year guy, okay? He's going to develop, but man, this young man can play.
Skills.
Now, he reclassified, so he could maybe still be in high school. But this young man works hard. You saw him jump. He's got the jumping ability that enables him to do a lot of stuff. He's got that wingspan. He has to put on some muscle. There's no question about it. But I am extremely excited about this young man.
Hometown, Beckley, West Virginia, where many of us have done a lot of whitewater rafting. He said he never has. That kind of surprises me, but he needs to worry more about basketball. Let us talk now with Alvin Brooks, the third assistant coach. Welcome, Coach. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Is this an exciting day for the coaching staff? I know it's a regular practice, but it's not a regular practice.
Yeah, it's a very exciting day. I mean, anytime that the student athletes that you have on campus have a chance to show what they could do in front of NBA scouts, it's always exciting.
What do you do to the players to get them to relax and think as much about this experience as a regular practice? What do you tell the young guys?
Well, Coach Pope just huddled them up and told them, like, what you did yesterday is good enough, and what you did the day before is good enough. And so we have a practice plan to where we're not doing anything that's new and different. So it's something that they're accustomed to, and now just treat it like it's an everyday practice.
One of the other things Mark told us right before we went on the air was he reminds the players, and I'm sure you guys do too, that stick to the plan basically. Stick to what you've learned here. Don't fall back into what might feel more comfortable, but in other words, habits that you guys have tried to break them of.
Yes, I mean, we have championship habits that we've been working on since June. And so the championship habits that we've worked on since June, now it's time to show them. And so we don't want to revert back to any habits that you had before us. Make sure to use the championship habits that we've worked on every single day.
One of the things that probably makes you happy is that there seems, at least to this point, to have been a greater emphasis on defense this year. And I know you're a defensive guy, and Mark Pope is always known for his offense and how intricate it is, and all the stuff needs to work together. But for someone like yourself, defense wins games, and I know you must be kind of excited about that.
Yes, I think we've done a great job of emphasizing defense, and not that we didn't last year. We did as well last year, but I think this year we have a lot of guys that they're competing to be the defensive player of the year. And so when you have guys that are competing to be defensive player of the year, then you have to play defense to win that award.
Right.
And so we have a lot of energy when it comes to this group. They compete a lot to where we actually have to tone the practice plans down to where we're not competing against each other too much.
Yeah, but that's been fun to watch because it gave us kind of a throwback to when I played, when you could hit guys and you could hold guys and you could I mean, does having better athletes, and again, this has nothing to do with what you had last year, but there seems to be more true athletes with this team, which should translate over to the defensive end of the floor.
Yes, we do. We have guys that have competed at a high level defensively from places that they've come from, and they're elite athletes, and you know they're competitive. They want to shut their guy down, but they also want to like help their brothers when it comes to a defensive breakdown. So it's exciting to see them compete every single day, and they like talk noise to each other, and like it's a lot of competitive spirit. But I love at the end of it, they hug, they laugh, and you would think that they never just competed against each other like they didn't know each other.
Going out with each other every night and hanging out, that's always fun.
I'm wondering too, Coach, last year you had 7 super seniors, guys who had played a lot of basketball. They knew their place in the basketball world.
Yes.
These guys a lot of them are still trying to carve their place out, aren't they? I got to think that's adding to the competitiveness.
Yes, it is. I think last year, from day one, I think the guys, maybe one spot, maybe 2 spots where we didn't know who would be the starters. And so I think everybody else kind of knew, okay, I knew my role coming to Kentucky. This year, it's more of not as many guys know their role at the moment, so they're competing for their role. And I think because of that, we have a lot of competitive practices. And, I mean, from top to bottom, this may be the deepest team I ever been a part of.
Wow.
And so I think, that shows the talent that we have, and now they have to show it.
Well, you were part of a staff that won a D1 national title at Baylor, a couple of JUCO titles. Championship level basketball, so it sounds like you got a pretty good feeling about this team.
There's not many times in your career that you have an opportunity to legitimately be a part of a team that can win a national championship, and I think that we definitely have the talent to. Obviously, we have to stay healthy, and then we have to make sure that we love one another in order to make that happen.
When this guy was playing here, at one point they recruited 3 6'10" players, and we thought that was incredible. You got 5 at least 6'10", so there's a lot of defensive guy can do. Coach, thank you so much. Best of luck. Thanks for coming over.
Thank y'all for having me.
Appreciate it, man.
Right,
Thank you.
that is Alvin Brooks III, assistant coach under Mark Pope, and as Jack said, he helps with a defensive scheme, so he likes what he is seeing. You got to like what you heard from him.
Yeah.
I mean, a guy who specializes, as you said, in defense, and he really likes so far what he has seen.
Yeah, the thing I talked to Alvin a lot about last year during the course of the year, it was pretty amazing to me, Gabe, that he and the other coaches, and I think it starts with the coaches, they were able to get these guys thinking on the same page so quickly. I mean, it was pretty amazing to me that a totally new team, I mean, I'm talking about all the pieces, nobody had played together, but early on they came together at I don't know how they did it, how the coaches did it. Maybe this guy would be able to help us, Coach Fox, but you got in on the end of that. How important is it to have all the guys on the same page and really, as Alvin Brooks said, loving each other, working together, and really sacrificing to make the other guy look good?
Well, it's really important. It's really the secret sauce that separates you as a team. And in today's era, when guys come in and they're maybe here 1 year or 2 years and there's so much turnover, for instance, last year with every player being new, I thought that Coach Pope did an unbelievable job developing that chemistry, forcing these guys to spend time with each other and with the coaches. And ultimately, that secret sauce becomes the separator in chemistry in those tight games.
You worked as a head coach at 3 different schools. You worked as an assistant all over the country, 324 career wins. As a guy who has mentored Mark Pope, tell me, what kind of grade do you give him for season 1?
Well, it's hard to do it better than what he did it. Obviously, this program has a legendary tradition, but if you look at what he walked into with nobody on the roster, I thought that he healed the fan base. Everyone was excited. I thought that he put together a team last year that could play how he wanted to play. So I think he did a terrific job, and I think this is a hard job. This is a harder job than probably anyone realizes, and he's done an amazing he's had an amazing first 18 months, if it's been that long. Maybe it's been 16 months. I'm not even sure, but he really's done. I've been very proud of him because he's really attacked every part of this job in a way that's going to allow us to accomplish some really special things.
Another thing I've noticed in practice, Mark, is that it seems to me that you love it when these guys get aggressive and going at each other. I kind of sit back, Gabe. I sit back on the sideline, and and I'll hear Mark throw something in that just kind of sticks it in a little bit more, and they respond. But it's been fun to watch these guys going at each other.
Well, I do think we have extremely competitive guys this year. And some days we even have to maybe turn it down a notch because we got a lot of alpha males who are tenacious, if you will. And I think the one thing that Coach Pope has a tremendous ability to teach.
Yes.
And I think we have to compliment him in the best way that we can. But I do like it when these guys get after it, and this group does. This group can win at both ends. I think we've got to keep getting better. But out of the gate, we've been really impressed with their tenacity.
You knew Mark Pope when he was a freshman at UW, University of Washington, and again, your paths have crossed, so many times. But did you see future head coaching timber in Mark Pope? Because he wanted to be a doctor for a while there.
Well, he was an unbelievable player. He was a very committed player. He would have been a great doctor, but he probably wouldn't have been as good a doctor as he is coach.
Yeah.
When he decided to coach, I told him, I said, listen, you're going to have to learn to do every piece of this operation and within a program because you're going to be in charge of one relatively quickly, and you need to understand what everybody's role is. And he rose like a rocket ship. And what I think he's done great is he's taken a lot of people along with him, and he helps elevate every one of these kids' lives on and off the court.
Were you his first phone call when he decided to get into coaching? Do I remember that right?
Well, yeah, he worked for me for 1 year at Georgia. Right.
Picking up towels, right?
No, he likes to say he picked up towels, but
right.
I tell you what, he contributed a lot, to the X's and O's, his experience.
What was your reaction? Did you say, what? You're in med school.
Well, he had tried a couple years in a row, like, hey, you got a job for me? Do you have a job for me? And I said, you're in medical school. You need to go be a doctor. And one day he says, Coach, if you have surgery, you don't want me holding the knife. And I says, all right, come down. If you want to work, we start on Sunday. And he drove from New York down, and the rest is history. And super proud of the coach that he's become, certainly. The mentor that he's become to these young people, I'm really proud of that. But he loves this place. And as Goose knows, the history here is special, and it's in his bones. And so I'm really, really happy to see how he's attacking this job and how well he and Leanne have brought the Commonwealth together, and I couldn't be more proud of him.
But I will say this. Regardless of how good he is, and he is going to be one of the best ever, I think it's important to have a Mark Fox on the bench with him, a guy who has been in those situations, those tight games at the end, and had to make that call as to what defense or what offense. I've seen you two interact, and he really looks to you for your point of view in those kind of situations.
Well, I don't know when it happened, but at some point I became the oldest guy in the room, I do feel like the staff, that they recognize that I've been around the block a couple times, and he makes his own decisions. I'm just fortunate that I have some experience so I can give him a couple choices, and most of the time he doesn't need any suggestions, but we offer him assistance anyway. But he takes in a lot of information,
yes,
and if I can be of value, that's why I came.
Coach, as long as you're in the room with me, you're not the oldest guy.
Me either.
Goose has that blessing of looking young, though. That's
he does,
right.
doesn't he?
Yes, he does. Yes,
all right, Coach, thank you so much. Best of luck this season.
Hey, thank you,
for
guys.
joining us. That's Mark Fox, assistant coach, and we'll come back with more from UK Pro Day at historic Memorial Coliseum.
Get better today, get better today, get better today. This is a test. Like this is the Mount Rushmore of distractions here at the University of Kentucky.
Yeah, come in! What you got, Cam? What you got, Cam?
You.
Good.
Yeah? Feel fresh?
Yep.
Ready to run all day?
Let them see it. Huh? Yes?
Cam, how you doing? I'm gonna call you Downhill Cam. Let's go. You feeling good? Yes. Have fun tonight, okay? Do your thing.
A little taste of what it's like to play for Mark Pope and get that kind of encouragement. He'll be loud, but doesn't necessarily blow your ears off, does he?
Well, it's interesting, and he is so different in that regard than I think every other coach we've had here. They've been verbose, they've been loud, they've been They've never held back on their words. But here's one thing that's interesting when it comes to Mark Pope and how he relates to the players. You won't see him get loud, get mad, if you will, very often. But the times I have seen him get to where you think, that's not Mark Pope I know and love. I mean, that's not Mark Pope. The few times I've seen him get to that point,
Right.
it's like every guy on the team refocuses. It's kind of more by less. He won't get that way very often, but when he does, every guy on the team stops whatever they're doing and they give him 100% focus. He makes his point, and now let's move on.
You think that, and this is not a knock on anybody who's coached there, certainly not the man who coached you, Joe B. Hall, had so much success, but that's the way it was done back then. Adolph Rupp did it with biting sarcasm, but after a while it becomes kind of white noise. You know, you just tune it out. I had Dirk Minifield tell me that he would tell the younger players, you know, if he's yelling at you, you know, make him come get you, you know, and that kind of thing. So you just have to learn to handle it your way, right?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's got a way. I was fortunate, Gabe, that I learned from a guy by the name of Kevin Greavy.
Oh, yeah.
We guarded each other in practice, and Coach Hall would just jump Kevin Greavy, and Greavy would tell me on the free throw line we'd be shooting, Goose, don't listen to a word he says. And that's kind of the approach, because it does get to be one of those things that's in your ear and you want to tune him out. Mark Pope does it just the opposite.
Well, whatever he's doing, it worked last year. It worked at Brigham Young. It worked at Utah Valley State. But look at the accomplishments from last season, including, look at that balance. 6 players averaging 10 or more points per ball game. They hit a lot of threes. Reached the Sweet 16 for the first time since 2019 and silenced the critics, Jack, who said, well, Mark Pope's never won a postseason game.
Yeah.
You know, he's never won a game in the NCAA tournament. Well, they made a pretty good run.
Yeah, and I look at those numbers. If this team can get 6 guys averaging in double figures, this team will win a bunch of games. And I think it's important because a lot of people, as you see these guys going up and down the floor, they look at Otega Oweh, and you think about it, he averages 15 points and 5 rebounds a game, and a lot of people think he has to get up to 20 points a game and say 8 rebounds. That is the furthest thing from the truth, and please don't think that. What he has to do is get the exact same numbers he got last year, because if he gets the same numbers, that means those other 6 guys, 5 or 6 guys, are averaging in double figures, which means now you're averaging in the mid-80s again. And then if this team does defensively what they're capable of doing and holds teams to around the 75 points a game mark, it's going to be a very successful year, Gabe.
It's going to be fun. And you've seen Jasper Johnson launching a couple times. Jasper is left-handed.
Yes,
there
I like
have been
that.
some pretty good left-handers here. You mentioned Kevin Greavy and Tom Parker, pretty good left-hander. I believe you were left-handed.
I shot him
you still
both
are.
hands, man. I like to score too much.
Yeah, that's true. This is Lowe, Jalen Lowe, taking it all the way in. And he is an interesting guy. And, you know, Mark Pope gave a really fascinating answer on Media Day about analytics. One of the first questions was, you know, when do you know, or how do you know when to ignore them? And I'm paraphrasing. And he said, you know, that happens all the time. You know, you use analytics, but you sometimes have to know when to basically use your gut or use what your eyeballs tell you. But also they can scout a player using analytics, and he was one of them.
Yeah.
And he did not shoot the ball. I know Kentucky fans who liked that Kentucky got him through the portal, but didn't like the way that he shot the basketball in terms of percentages. But Mark said they studied the analytics, and he basically took difficult shots from difficult spots on the floor. But when you're carrying a team as a point guard, aren't you sort of forced to do that?
Well, what you're forced to do a lot of time, Gabe, yes, those things that you mentioned are true. But the other thing you're forced to do as point guard is to take shots when the shot clock is running out.
Exactly.
You know, the ball with 6 seconds on the shot clock just seem to find a way back in your hands, and you're out at the top of the key, and now there's 4 seconds on the clock, and you're trying to chase the defense away, and the defense is coming at you. Now it's 1 second on the clock because you can't find anybody to throw it to, so you have to put up a shot, and that is not a high percentage shot. So he had to do a lot of that last year. With the way Kentucky is going to be able to spread the ball around the floor, with the number of guys, and I'm just beside myself that I haven't mentioned Cam Williams yet.
That's
I'm so
right.
sorry,
You love
Cam.
Cam.
We're going to talk about Cam in a little while.
Yeah.
But with all of these guys on the floor that can shoot,
There he is.
Lowe is not going to have to shoot a lot
That's
of
right.
last-second
That's
shots.
right. Yeah, his assist numbers could be really off the charts.
Yes, absolutely. And we'll talk after this break because we have a coach over with us, but we'll talk Cam Williams. This guy has looked awesome in practice, and he's looked even better the last 3 weeks. I mean, he has become comfortable with Coach Pope's offense and what they expect from him. But Cam Williams has really gotten better.
Transfer from Tulane, and we are joined now by assistant coach Cody Feger. Coach, how you doing? Good to see you again.
Doing great, guys. Thanks for having me on here.
If we can carve out a couple seconds at the end for some Green Bay Packers talk, I hope
Yeah.
our producer understands.
Yeah, I
how
appreciate
important that is.
It's the most important thing.
It is.
Gabe got it. He has his phone up
Well,
here
you know,
just for that
When you're a
reason.
shareholder, when you're an owner of the team,
Yeah.
you know. But
Yeah.
anyway, what am I telling you? Anyhow, we talked to Alvin Brooks. He's more of a defensive guy. You're more of an offensive guy. But Jack can't wait to see this team in full force. And you guys are out here right now with 2 of your best players getting up and down the floor.
Yeah, it's an amazing group. A lot of fun to coach, and yeah, we don't have Ortega or JQ practicing right now, and it's competitive, and we got a high level team we're excited about.
But in some ways, with Ortega, for sure, you know what you got.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
so it's a little bit easier not having him out there. JQ, you know what you got, but you don't know how he's going to blend with these guys yet. But you're getting to see some other guys who may not have been able to get the kind of minutes had they been here.
Exactly. That's been fun to see some of these other guys develop a little bit. Where Ortega, he's going to be such a huge factor for our team on the offensive side and the defensive side. So it's been good to see guys get development in different spots, and we'll kind of see how this thing goes forward because it's going to be competitive.
The younger team this year. Last year you worked early on offense, then defense. You flip-flopped that schedule. Is that a concern of yours?
Not necessarily, but we're going to spend time on both, right? Yeah, but not necessarily. We want to spend a ton of time on defense. We want to be the best defensive team in the country, and we also want to be the best offensive
Coach also
team.
said this could be the most mobile team, meaning cutting to the basket, which fans adore when that works. I assume you share that optimism.
Oh, yeah. No, these guys are high-level cutters, and they got great hands, and our bigs are great passers. Malachi is different than Amari, but he can do some of the same things that Amari did.
Wow.
Not as mobile as Amari was, like full court, bringing the ball up at times, but Malachi's got a high ceiling. He's a very talented player, and he's physical, and our bigs are good players, so we're excited about that.
Another way he's like Amari Williams is you don't want either one of those guys taking that shot with 2 seconds on the shot clock. That's one way they
Not from three, for sure.
They are
right now.
very, very similar. But I do like, Cody, I like watching the coaches like yourself because it's fun to figure out, I don't want to say what role because you do it all, no question about that. But if you had to think, man, here's where I really help this team, what ways would that be?
I would say consistency every day. Guys know what they can count on. Going to tell them the truth right away. And if they got questions, I kind of know. I got the best feel for Coach Pope. Been with him for so long. Lucky to be with him for so long. Just so the guys, I think, understand it, whether it's our players or staff.
Well, again, you've been with him for 10 years. You might know him better than his wife, anybody but his wife and kids. But what is it? And we just showed the accomplishments for the team, the staff from last year, and it was really impressive, obviously, given that you started with a blank slate. But what is it that has made him the head coach that he is today? Because Jack and I were talking about this yesterday. When he was announced, people kind of responded like he was a newbie. He had already been a head coach for 8 years. That's a lot of decision making. So what do you think sets him apart?
I mean, he was here at Kentucky, so he gets it. He won a national championship, and he came off the bench, and he played in the NBA for just about a decade. So like you hit the nail on the head with all those things. And he was such a great teammate. That's what he is known for. He does an unbelievable job of gelling teams together and staff, and his leadership's been second to none, and it's just been so fun to be a part of and see it. And I was lucky to see his growth, at Utah Valley, where his first year, but his attention to detail with the team and gelling them together is second to none.
Cody, I know Mark didn't make a decision on a player without consulting you. I mean, you were a key factor in every guy that was brought in. My question would be, because you know what you had coming in, have there been any surprises? I mean, have you looked at, say, a Malachi Marino and say, man, this kid is better than I thought he was? Have there been any of those kind of pleasant surprises for you?
Yeah, honestly there has. Really, and I can go down the line where I just wasn't sure how fast they were going to pick things up offensively and defensively. But Malachi's first day, I was like, okay, yeah, we were watching him play in Kentucky high school, and he's going against a 6'3" kid, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is hard to watch. And then we watched him with Team USA, and then our first day of practice, I'm like, wow, he's got a chance to be pretty special. Jasper Johnson, he's picking things up. He was a month and a half behind most of the guys, and he's picking things up fast. Jalen Lowe, he can just get by anybody and make every pass. Denzel Aberdeen is just a straight winner, tough as nails. There's just so many things, and I can go down the line of each guy. I can even talk about JQ, and he hasn't done anything on the court yet. But just looking at him every day, I'm like,
20 pounds of muscle makes a difference, doesn't it?
Just a beast.
It makes a difference.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear you say that, because I've been, I'm blessed to be able to watch practices, and I've thought the same thing about some of the players. Man, this guy's better than I thought he was.
Yeah, I feel that about Mo Diabate. We're like, we'll see exactly what he can do, and he just wins everything. He grabs every rebound, and he's just tough as nails. We brought the team in, and Mo's kind of got his own philosophy on a lot of things. He's the best.
He does.
He's the best. So, we're bringing the team in the huddle. It was blue against white. He was on the blue team, and we bring it in, and some guys like, all right, let's go. Let's win. And Mo's like, no. Work hard on three. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Work hard. He's just hilarious, and he's the best.
Coach, we're told in my ear that we don't have time for Packer talk. I'm sorry. We'll have to get back, and we'll do that off to the side. But thank you for joining us, and go Pack Go.
Go Pack Go. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thanks for coming over.
We'll come back with more from historic Memorial Coliseum in just a minute. UK Pro Day on SEC+. It's been a busy off-season for these Kentucky Wildcats as they have met their adoring public. Community service really important to Mark Pope and the Wildcats. They visited the Ronald McDonald House, the Hope Center. They served meals there. They visited the folks in London whose lives were torn apart by tornadoes. The Lexington Rescue Mission. They spent time in hospitals talking to UK fans. And, it's interesting, talking to Deshaun Woods, who coached the TBT team, and he loved the fact, and of course Sean lives here, but he loved the fact that a lot of the guys who came back really learned to better appreciate what it means to be a Kentucky Wildcat, where they didn't realize it as much when they were playing here. I got to think that this bunch doing this kind of community service really helps drive that home.
Well, having played here, Gabe, I am very, very proud to say that community service, community outreach, all the things you mentioned has always been a big part of Kentucky basketball. I mean, it just has been one of the things, if you want to take all the coaches that we've had here and talk about one thing that they're very, very similar in, one thing, and that is community service for their athletes. And I'm proud. Mark Pope played here. He had to go and spend time with people, get out in the community, travel the far ends of the state to reach out to people, especially kids, okay? And that's always been a part of Kentucky basketball, and it's one of the things that I'm most proud of, some of the things like we saw that the players still do.
You talked about Cam Williams, and this is a guy who's a native of Louisiana. Again, he started his career at Tulane and started 28 out of 33 games last year as a freshman and had 14 double-figure games. So the Green Wave leaned on him, and a 40% shooter from beyond the arc. But he was one of, if not the first guy in the portal saying, I want to be a Kentucky Wildcat.
Yeah, man, this guy, and just like with us tonight, it's easy not to talk about him until you look at the stat sheet and you see Cam with 14 points, and he's got 6 rebounds, he's got 2 steals, he's got 4 deflections, and you think, my goodness, man, this guy did a little bit of everything. Well, he's been that way in practice, Gabe. I mean, when I saw him early in the summer, I was kind of shaking my head a little bit because I'm like, God, he's been out there for 3 minutes, and I didn't even know he was on the floor. But now, from that time to now, there is never a time when I don't know he's on the floor. And the thing that I think about, and I heard Mark talking to the group before one of the practices a few days ago, Cam Williams leads everybody in practice in rebounds. A lot of those rebounds are on the offensive end of the floor, so that leads to a dunk for him because he's long. He jumps out of the gym. He shoots the 3 as well as anybody on this team. If they can find a way, if we look late in the season and he's averaging 8 to 11 points, again, this team is going to win a lot of games because he brings that kind of just effectiveness to the floor. So I've loved watching this guy play. You know, he's one of my favorites already.
Oh, you mentioned him yesterday in
that.
practice, yeah.
But I'm looking forward to seeing how he develops and what he brings to this team.
Oh, there you see number 33, Reese Potter, and those two guys have something in common. That is, they, from afar, watched what was happening. Of course, Reese Potter is from Lexington, so it's kind of ingrained in him. But they saw what was happening here in the first year under Mark Pope. That's what makes this transfer portal class interesting, in that they could study. They could see, how's this working out? How's this Mark Pope guy? What's he doing at Kentucky? They had to rebuild a team, and oh my gosh, they won 24 games and went to the Sweet 16. I think I'd like to be a part of that.
Yes, yes. Well, the thing I'll say about Reese, because I've watched him since he was a middle schooler, okay?
Right,
I mean,
it was hard to miss, wasn't he?
Well, he was, because he's a big dude. But I've watched him, and the improvement, and I'm going to go just from the time he left Lexington Catholic to what I see now in practice, and he had a couple of really, really good seasons up in Ohio. But he is a guy who continues to work hard. He loved Kentucky basketball from way back. His mom and dad love him and love his basketball playing, and they go to about every game they went to in Ohio, and of course every high school game. But he just wanted to come home.
Right.
And I love the kids who do that.
Yeah.
I don't know how much he's going to play. I know he's working hard every day in practice, like he's going to get all the minutes at the 5 spot. But I'm looking forward to seeing him play as well.
I had him on my radio show the day after he committed, and he said, I just want to help the team get better.
That's right.
And you saw the list of transfers. You mentioned Denzel Aberdeen earlier, won not just a national title, SEC tournament title for Florida. And Mohamed Diabate 2 years ago helped Alabama get to the Final Four, so these guys can draw upon those experiences.
Yeah, and I'm looking for a guy like Mo to help this team be better on the defensive end of the floor. Now, the thing that I want people to understand about Mo is if there are 8 guys going for a ball, whether it's a rebound, whether it's a loose ball, if there are 8 guys going, he's coming out with the ball. Just understand that. If 5 guys go for a rebound, he's getting that rebound, okay? He is that kind of guy, has a knack of being around the basketball. I'm glad to see him where he is now. He's a veteran, okay? And early in the summer, he was kind of, I don't want to say going through the motion, but he looked like a vet. He's like, well, you know, I know I've got until October to be ready.
Saving his energy?
He's saving his energy. Well, right now, man, he's landed on the line every play. And I knew he would. But he's one of those players that you just want to have on your team. Ask Owe what playing against this guy is like, because he's one of the few who was able to shut down Otega Owe last year.
Well, you saw he had those 6 double-doubles. 4 of those came in SEC play, Jack. They weren't cheapies.
That's right. He knows how to play.
Yeah.
He doesn't look to score big numbers. He's not going to shoot a bunch of threes, although he made pretty good percentage when he did shoot them. But he wants to just help this team win.
You know, it was funny you mentioned him coming out with the ball, because it seemed like whenever I was watching Alabama, whether it was playing Kentucky or not, at crunch time, when the Crimson Tide needed somebody to make a play, it was him.
He makes the play.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, when I look at guys like Mo, I look at Mo as though I had to play against him. I would be guarding him.
Uh-oh.
Even worse, Gabe, he would be guarding me. And I used to hate to play against guys like him, because you might get 12 points, but you're going to get hit 12 times harder than the points you score.
Does he remind you of anybody you played against?
Well,
think about that for a moment.
Let me think about it, and I'll come up with that.
Because I will tell you that this young man, there you see double figures, also led the team in rebounding 10 times, had a career-high 16 boards against Houston. That was a pretty good ball club.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, you talk about doing the dirty work.
Yeah, he does the dirty work. And the guy that I'm thinking of who he kind of reminds me of, and it's a name that you'll know and a lot of other Kentucky people will know our age who followed high school basketball back in the day, was a guy named Rudy Macklin.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
Rudy Macklin.
A Louisville native.
A Louisville native.
At LSU.
Went to LSU, and I had to play against Rudy at LSU. And, man, he's built like Mo. He's got the long arms like Mo. He shoots the ball better than Mo. But Rudy Macklin would stick me, man, every second I had to play against him. So, yeah, he reminds me a little bit of Rudy Macklin.
Interesting. See, there are just so many interesting stories that will develop off this team. And, you know, I like the fact that when they brought the players in to talk to the media earlier this summer, really late spring.
By the way, Gabe, real quick.
Yes, sir.
Okay, this drill they're running right now, I don't want them to stop, but and you can make your point. But this drill they're running right now, when coaches want to get players fired up, going against each other, when they're not working as hard as they want them, and Mark Pope runs this. Mark Fox runs this. That's why I said with Mark. But this drill right here, rebounding the basketball and scoring, they run this drill when they want guys to fight. And I don't mean literally fight, but when they want them to fight.
They want them to battle.
Yeah, to battle.
There you go.
I want to point that. I'm sorry.
No.
But go ahead.
Well, it kind of dovetails into what I was going to say. When they brought the players in to talk to us, it was really interesting. Almost every one of them talked about defense, because at that point it was just beginning to become ingrained in them. Mm-hmm. But they all talked about how we think we can be the best defensive team in the country.
Right.
Now, I asked Pope about that, a few days later, and he kind of scoffed because they were just getting started. Mm-hmm. But clearly that's at the top of the list.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah, this drill right here, when we used to run it when I was at Kentucky, it's a screen out, rebound the basketball drill. Physical. You have to be physical because if you give up an offensive rebound to the guy you're guarding, drop the ball, get your rear end on the baseline, and let's start running. Now, they don't run like we used to. But that drill right there, if you give up an offensive rebound, you better get ready to run. And Coach Hall would say, get a wall, which means touch the top of this building.
Yeah.
The wall as far away as you can get. So you hated to give up offensive rebounds. You'd do anything to keep guys from getting one.
He is Jack Evans, the All-American. Dick Gabriel with you here at UK Pro Day. We'll come back to historic Memorial Coliseum after this here on SEC Plus.
Good catch, BG. Way to catch first, BG. Finish it, finish it, finish it. Let's go, kid. I love it, J-Lo. Oh, that's butter. Woo! But just get the body, release, and then throw it. Just see if you can manufacture that space against a 7-1 big, okay?
Mark Pope teaching and coaching here at Pro Day, and here's what else is coming up. It's a big day Saturday. You've got the Fan Fest earlier in the day, then Big Blue Madness starting at 6 o'clock at Rupp Arena, the Blue-White game, an actual basketball game on October the 17th, and then the exhibitions with Purdue and Georgetown, maybe the #1 team in the country preseason, and at Georgetown should be pretty good as well, Jack. Those are going to be incredible teaching experiences for Mark Pope and his staff.
Nothing against Transylvania, but it's a little bit different exhibition game than we might have against Transy or one of the other colleges that we have had some exhibition games against. It's going to be a little bit different going against the #1 team and even Georgetown.
The great thing,
the Hoyas.
The great thing about that Transy game, though, is they got to walk to the game.
Yes.
Made national headlines. That may never happen again.
And Brian Lane knows I'm mentioning Transy out of love because I love what he's doing.
Terrific coach, absolutely. And they took an early lead in that game. They stopped so they could take pictures of the scoreboard. That was great. We are at Memorial Coliseum. That young man right there, Mark Pope, in his second year as the head coach, he has put together not a brand new team as he did last year, but he does have new faces, including one young man he's a long way from home, all the way from Croatia. And that is, if I can, I hope I say his name right, Andrea Jelic.
That's the way.
Croatia.
That's the way I'm going to pronounce it, Gabe. And it's been fun watching him get himself together. He missed out all summer, didn't work out at all. Finally got here, and obviously he was a little bit behind everybody else. Had a long way to go to get himself in condition, but the thing I've noticed more than anything the last couple of weeks is that he is he's about 80% of where I think he's going to get, so his improvement has been really, really good.
We welcome now Mikel McLean, another assistant coach on the Wildcat staff. Thanks for joining us. How's Pro Day been for you so far?
It's been good. Guys have a lot of energy, have a lot of fun, getting to showcase some of the stuff we've been working on since the summer, and we got a really competitive group. We're enjoying them.
You do a lot of scouting for this unit, for this ball club. A little bit different than what the NBA guys, or is it? I mean, you guys all looking at the same sort of things?
Yeah, we look at the same skill sets, guys that can guard multiple positions, guys that can play multiple spots on the floor offensively. We got to be versatile. We have a very deep team. We can do a lot of stuff, fun stuff offensively and defensively, and we're going to come in waves this year for sure.
Yeah, you've been around the NBA a little bit. You know what this is like. What can a day like this mean to the players?
Yeah.
What do they want to try to do here? Trying to stay calm and forget about who's in the stands.
Yeah.
But those guys are looking for stuff.
No, it's something we always say. I got this wristband. We say same old boring habits.
Yep.
It's just doing the same thing. Like, we're not out here trying to showcase ourselves for the scouts. Our guys are doing the same thing we do every single day in practice. Goose, you've been to a ton of practices and games. Like, our routine didn't change because we got scouts in the gym. These guys are doing the same thing they've been working on every single day. They should be proud of the work they've been putting in, and we're enjoying the product that we put out so far.
Yeah, the thing that's really good about the point you just made is they go as hard every day in practice
day.
as they have gone in this.
Yeah.
And that's really, really good as well.
Yeah. I mean, we almost have to dial these guys down. Like, everything we do, they want it to be a competition. And sometimes we're like, guys, we need to teach a little bit. They just want to play. They want to foul the living snot out of one another. But, I mean, this group, man, they've been so fun. The leadership from Jalen Lowe, Otega Olway, Brandon Garrison, Colin Chandler, Trent Noah, just all of our guys. Like, it's just been a unit. And like I said, we're going to come in waves.
A big part of your job is scouting. How has that changed now in the era of the transfer portal?
Yeah. I mean, it hasn't changed much. You don't get to go in person and see, like, sometimes you might go to a back gym and you might discover a talent and you get to go watch them 3 or 4 times. Now it's us scouring the internet, scouring analytics, scouring video film, making calls to people that we trust. Like, what is this kid's practice habits? How is his family? Does he go to class every day? Like, what is his attendance? Like, all of that stuff. And now you have to trust other people's words along with just trusting what you see on film. But that's the biggest difference, is that, like, we're on that computer looking at hours upon hours, and we got to make sure that these kids fit us.
I want to go back a minute, because every coach we've had over here has the same theme. Has come up with every one.
Yeah.
We have to dial them back a little bit, because and I bring that up because so often you're trying to get a guy to give just a little bit more. Come on, give me a little bit more.
Yeah.
But as competitive as these guys have been against each other, it has to be somewhat rewarding to be able to say, man, these guys are going to kill each other.
Yeah,
I got to get them back a little bit.
We always say the practices are going to be so much harder than the actual game. I mean, like yesterday, for example, we had pro day today. Yesterday was supposed to be a lighter day to keep these guys fresh.
It wasn't.
And these guys are literally trying to fight one another.
Yesterday was supposed to be a lighter day?
Yesterday was supposed to be a lighter day.
I got to watch that practice.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, guys are diving on the floor. Guys are climbing over each other's backs for rebound, blocking shots, talking trash. And we're like, guys, relax.
Back down a
I
little.
mean, they cannot wait to play against somebody else, man. But it makes our jobs – we never have to dial these guys up.
You know what Mark Pope did when he was playing here.
Yeah.
But I don't know how often you've heard him talk. He talks about it to us all the time. And I produced a documentary on that 96 team. So I heard every player talk about how tough practice was.
Yeah.
And, in fact, 5-on-5s, when Patino would tell them we're done, no, we want to play one more.
Oh, yeah.
Because the team that lost didn't want to give up.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Oh, yeah.
And Mark is making it sound it's not quite that talent level. But it's, in terms of the competitive nature, similar.
Yeah, I mean, we legitimately have 13 guys that are good enough to start at a lot of high major programs. That's a great problem to have. Like, for example, our first practice in Rupp about a month ago, Denzel Abberton, we're playing, and we finish our 5-on-5 segment, and Denzel's like, we're done? He's like, I want to play some more. We're like, no, we have practice again at 6 in the morning tomorrow. I don't care. I want to keep playing. We come back at 6 in the morning. He's ready to go. We go back at 4 that afternoon. They're ready to go. And it's not just Denzel. It's everybody, man. Like the freshmen. Like Jasper Johnson loves to hoop. Malachi Moreno loves to hoop. Brandon Garrison loves to hoop. We have a bunch of guys that basketball is – we have 3 guys that literally walk around with a basketball to class every day. They walk around with a basketball to class.
That? I did not do that.
Come on, Goose. Goose, we went to the golf – Goose, listen. We went to the golf course 2 months ago for a team retreat.
Right.
Jaden Quain's had a basketball on the golf course.
Oh, man.
He's driving, not very good, just like I'm not, and then he's dribbling his basketball around the range. Come on, man.
The only part of basketball that I would like to see on the golf course is the hole to be as big as the rim.
I wish
on
it was
my
that
putts,
big. I'm
man,
so bad. I'm so bad.
Because that's what it would take for me to become a good putter.
Coach, you worked with Amari Williams last year, and a tip of the cap to you because he blossomed. I mean, he was good when he got here, but he got better.
Yeah.
Tell me about working with these bigs. I know they're not the same, but within your offense, having a big who can pass the ball. I'm hearing good things about Malachi and the other guys.
Yeah, no, I mean, Amari had the talent beforehand. Like, let's not get it twisted. Amari was a great passer before I got here. He could do a lot of stuff. We just unlocked him because the system kind of unlocked him. But Amari's leadership passed on to Brandon Garrison. Guys, if you guys can see the way Brandon Garrison is leading this group with Jaden Quainance, Malachi Moreno, Reese Potter, sometimes when the fours come together, like, Brandon Garrison has a unique skill set. He's not quite the passer Amari is, but he's almost there. Malachi Moreno has had practices where he's finishing the week 10-2 assist to turnover ratios, right? Our guys, once they figure out the system and they get comfortable in it, now the avenue opens up for them to be able to attack and be aggressive offensively, right? So all of our guys, they're learning how to attack and be aggressive in our system and impact winning.
Speaking of Brandon Garrison, because he's on the screen right now.
Yeah.
We saw a lot of improvement in his game last year from start to finish.
Yeah.
What kind of jumps will he be capable of making this year?
I think he'll be able to do what he did. He did what he did in small sample sizes in terms like he could have like a 6-minute burst. Like Duke early in the year, we were down. Brandon Garrison had a 4-minute burst where he took over the game. He might have only scored 4 or 6 points and had like 3 or 4 rebounds, but that burst is about sustainability. So now he's in the best shape he's ever been in. He could do what he did in 12 minutes and now like 25 minutes, and he should never have to play 25 minutes. But it's about being able to give consistent effort for extended periods of time. That's the biggest difference.
Well, and that's an interesting point you make because, again, that 96 team, Antoine Walker led the team in minutes per game, like 27.
Right.
You know, but you would have thought the way they played that he was out there for 35.
Right.
Minutes. So what a play. You can come at teams in waves, can't you?
Yeah. I mean, that's the biggest thing, man. Like, we are 2 to 3 deep at every single position. Like, we have unbelievable leadership at every position. And, like, if you watch this practice and you didn't know who was who, you would never know which group is the starters or the reserves because there's never one team that wins every day. We could have the same 2 teams play against each other. The white team could win 3 days in a row and the blue team could win the next 7 days, right? So it doesn't matter who's on each team. That's how competitive and how much they're making each other better right now.
I know we have to go to a break, but I want to just go a little bit deeper because you're talking about the white team and you talk about the blue team, but the fact of the matter is you might have 5 different white team
every
players
single day
and 5 different blue team
we
players.
have never put a starting group out. Right now we're just trying to mix and match the talent to see who can complement one another. J-Lo and Denzel Abertine did not play on the same team until last week was the first time we put them on the same team because we want Jalen Lowe and Denzel Abertine to go against each other. We want Cam Williams and Trent Noah to go against each other. We want all of these guys to bump. Malachi Moreno and Brandon Garrison eventually can play together. Brandon can play some 4. So we got these guys going against each other, and then we switch the teams. They're like, Coach, I want to beat them. Don't switch the team. Keep the teams the same.
It's been fun
you know?
watching, man.
And you guys have been in practice, man. It is fun, man. There's so much juice in the gym.
Jack, this guy got an undergrad and master's in 4 years at Houston.
Yep.
Dean's List
I'm
5
impressed.
times.
I'm impressed.
That's 5 ahead of me.
I'm impressed.
Nice job.
Thank you, guys.
Good to have you here.
Yep.
That is Mikhail McLean, and we'll come back with more from Memorial Coliseum in just a minute. UK Pro Day on SEC Plus. All the Wildcats in this building would love to be where these guys are now. Wildcats in the NBA, including that young man at the bottom of the screen, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. What a dream of a season he had as he won a championship for Oklahoma City and was the regular season, Jack, in finals MVP. Doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, man, I tell you, that guy was just unbelievable as you look at some of the other names. It's going to be interesting to see how Reed adjusts to a bigger role with the Rockets this season. I'm looking forward to that. I love seeing Amari Williams' name up there, man, because he's one of those guys who had to work hard to get there, and you just feel good about him being in the league.
Ty Washington, I hope he sticks. He is the guy who holds the single-game record for assists at this university, 16. And with the talent on this team, I wonder, could that be a record that falls this year? But you mentioned Reed Sheppard. There's all kinds of talk about the Rockets packaging him in a deal with Miami or whatever. So the media will keep an eye on that. But right now we're keeping an eye on this team, including, we talked about the young man who came all the way from Croatia, had to wait in order to be cleared to play. And it wasn't about grades or hours or anything like that. They had to figure out, Jack, eligibility. How many years can he play here? And I think the number they came up with was 3. So Yelovich is basically a sophomore. But he told us at Media Day his conditioning is almost where it needs to be, trying to figure out this offense. But he's got the physical skills to where he can blend right in.
Yes, he's going to be one of those players. And you just kind of know he does some things naturally that you just know as soon as he gets where he wants to get condition-wise, those flashes that you see are going to become more and more longer sustained, and that's going to be a fun thing for him. I think he is, in addition to everything else, he's wanting to be coached. He's wanting to get better. He's closer here in this country to the NBA, so he sees that light at the end of the tunnel. So everything this young man needs is right here in front of him, and I'm looking forward to him growing and becoming more and more involved in what's going on here in this team.
I asked him about being so far from home, where you and I, when we were in school, we'd bump into kids who were from, Louisville or Richmond or whatever, and they were homesick, And here's a kid who's from a young man from Croatia, but he said playing for the club teams, they travel so much, they're away from home a lot, so they have to grow up a little quicker.
It's a little bit different. The thing that I worry about more than anything is probably because I'm a dad, Is he getting the food that he wants? Is he eating the way? Because food here is different than what he, and we saw
you
that.
played overseas.
I did, but I never had any trouble eating. That's just me. But I know with Big Z, you remember he was here and he had issues with the food, and sometimes you just need mama's cooking. You just need a good meal, and that what. You just don't get that here necessarily. So those are some areas. Yes, being away from home is tough, and I traveled playing pro ball and overseas, and places like Italy and Japan. 12-hour time difference and trying to know when to call home and when not to. All of that stuff you have to adjust to.
Well, if you can't eat well in Italy, you're doing something wrong.
Well, like I say, I had no trouble. Never was an issue. Now, the first time in Japan, when I was playing in Japan, the first time they stuck some raw fish in my face, I about lost it.
Really?
Oh, my goodness. What, sushi? I was like, man, no, I want my fish fried and filleted, and, I want a crappie, and I want that. All the stuff
puppies.
that I had here is what I wanted, but no, I'm just kind of kidding some. But that is a big adjustment for guys going that far away. And I'm glad we saw Trent Noah kind of drift into the picture there. Look, I wish I could talk long enough about how good Trent Noah has looked in practice and how hard he has worked. Without a doubt, he has shot the ball better than anybody on the floor. And the good thing about Trent is I don't care if you put him against a 7-footer who he was matched up against right there, or if you put him against Jalen Lowe. He's going to play equally as hard no matter who he plays against.
He was inducted into the Harlan County Academic and Athletic Hall of Fame in May of 2025. And many of you know his exploits in high school at Harlan County High. Finished up as the state's 5th all-time leading scorer. Averaged almost 30 points per game as a senior at Harlan County. 3,700 career points. Led his team to the championship game, where they lost, of course, to Lyon County. And he was terrific. Got to see him in the state tournament. A tough, physical guy. And it wasn't that he was that much taller than the guys around him, but he just played so much bigger. And now Mark Pope told us at Media Day yesterday that he is averaging something like 1.76 points per possession. I'm not sure how they break it down, but just some unheard of number. So where he'll fit in, as you can see, he had a career high at 11. That was a huge effort against Tennessee back in February, and fans love him.
Yeah, you don't win that game against Tennessee without some of the plays and the points, yes, but some of the other plays he made. But, one of the questions I get asked a lot, number one, what's the starting lineup going to be? And I'm like, which day are you talking about? What starting lineup? That's one of the questions. Another question is Trent going to get the minutes?
Yeah.
And my response to that is it's going to be almost impossible to keep him off the floor. He has looked that good since they got started in the summer. So that young man's going to keep on working. He loves the challenge of playing against these great players every day, and he's going to be a really, really good player.
I like what Coach McLean said about the 5-on-5s. They put teams together without a single thought of who's going to start. It's a lab experiment, isn't it?
Yeah, and you know he was talking about Lowe and Aberdeen working against each other by design, and frankly, I think now this is just between you and me, but frankly, I think one of the reasons they started playing those two guys together was because the competition head-to-head against each other got so intense. It was only a matter of time before one of those guys got hurt. I mean, that's how competitive, and that's how much of a dog both of those guys have in them. So you had to take them off of each other to extend their opportunity to stay healthy, because it was a war, man.
On a couple of possessions, we have seen Braden Hawthorne.
Yes.
That's number 22 in the corner, drain long shots.
Oh, man, that young man.
Yeah. He is a guy with so much potential. This team, everybody's draining long shots now. That's Diabate. But people are concerned a little bit, fans, about the fact that, you don't see many shooters like Kobe Bryant coming down the street every day. But there are opportunities for this team for guys who are good shooters to show themselves.
Yeah, we don't have a Kobe Bryant. We don't
but
have Ansley Almanor. You don't have that kind of shooter. But where Kentucky had those guys last year, this team has 6 guys, possibly 7, who will shoot a higher enough percentage behind the three-point line that you get the same kind of effect that you got with a Kobe Bryant. And it's going to really be better, actually, Gabe, because now you can't just focus on one guy. You could take Kobe out of the game by putting 2 guys on it and leaving somebody else wide open. You do that this coming season, and somebody else is going to burn you on the weak side of the floor.
And by the way, as you can see, this is not just a pickup game, not just a drill. There are officials out there, and we had a chance to say hi to the pride of Cynthiana, Brent Hampton, D1 official for quite a while, and the son of one of the greatest pizza makers in all of Kentucky, and Doug Hampton.
Don't talk to me about Brent. Talk to me about Doug and his ability to make those pizzas, baby.
Yeah, exactly. He's a great timeout coordinator as well at Rupp Arena, and was one of the best high school officials I've ever seen. And his son, both his sons, he and Brent and John took after him. So as we said, this is an officiated scrimmage, so they're not getting away with everything, but they're getting away with a lot, and that's good. It is UK Pro Day at historic Memorial Coliseum. We'll come back with more in just a minute here on SEC Plus.
BH, when did you become knockdown, man? I love it. Let's go. It's like you want it. Come on, baby. Got to get one to stay alive. Get it to stay alive. Good chest, good chest. Run, 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 run. Jasper, your gap saved us. Good job, baby. Excellent job, excellent job. Hey, one more stop, Blue. One more stop, one more stop. Let's go.
That is the energy every day, not just turning it on for the cameras or for the pros, Jack. You go to practice quite a bit, and he's almost as worn out as the players when it's over.
Yeah. But one thing I like about Mark and his style of coaching is that he lets his assistants do a lot of the work, a lot of the coaching. Mark will make his point. Well, he'll do that. There's no question about it. But the other coaches play such a big role in what happens in practice every day, and that is fun for me.
Colin Chandler launching. We had seen 2 other bombs fall. Colin Chandler is a guy who came on last year. He had to shake off a lot of rust more than anybody else on the team. He hadn't played competitive basketball in 2 years. But it was, Jack, it was almost like a light switch went off. When you're watching, as we are, either at games or on TV, you're there every game, home and away. You're at practice. You could see it probably more gradually. What do you think it was? Was it just a matter of shaking off rust with him?
Yes, it was, Gabe, but you know, when you think about Colin Chandler and the fact that he was away from the game for 2 years, you get to the point, and we saw it late in the year, where he felt like he was remembering what it was like to play basketball. Okay, I mean, he got to the point, but he still wasn't there. Mentally, he's like, oh, I remember when I used to dunk on people. You know, I remember when I would take a three in somebody's face and start running the other way before the ball goes through the net. You start to remember those things. But condition-wise, you're still not quite there. Comfort-wise, you're still not quite there. And if I had to say one thing that's different in what I've seen from Colin up to this point this year to the end of last year, is that the whole package is kind of there now. It never was there last year, even though he made a big push late. The whole package is there with him now.
Nice pass from Malachi Moreno to Trent Noah. But yeah, I'm really curious because Colin Chandler will provide minutes at the 1 and the 2 this year. And I know that's a question mark for this Kentucky team. Who's the backup point guard if Jalen Lowe gets into foul trouble or, God forbid, suffers an injury? And, you know, because we all know what happened last year with Lamont Butler when he went down. But Chandler became quickly a fan favorite. But that happens when your shot starts to fall, doesn't it? And you know what that feels like.
Yes, yes, it really does, and confidence is a big part of that. But now here is a big thing when you talk about what happens if at that point guard spot. What happens if Jalen gets in foul trouble? Well, Denzel's there. Yeah, but what happens if Jalen and Denzel gets in foul trouble? Well, Jasper's there. He's been running a lot of point guard.
Yeah.
Well, what happens if all three of those guys get in foul? Well, Colin Chandler. That's who you rotate in there.
Yeah.
And because this team is so much deeper than last year, you don't want to see any injuries. Please don't. Let's play the whole year without an injury. But there was trouble last year when they did have injuries to, especially in the backcourt. There were some issues, okay? I don't know that you will face the same kind of problems this year that you faced last year when some of those guys went down.
Malachi Moreno completes a three-point play. Non-conference games, yeah, they've got them, 3 of them at neutral sites. But look at that run, the gauntlet they've got to run, including a game at Louisville, which in the minds of many right now is a top 10 team. Rick Pitino awaits on December 20th. They're going to find out early what they're made of.
Oh, man. I love seeing Carolina on there. I love seeing Indiana on there.
Same.
I am so happy that that series has started again. I mean, well, we some of my best games, some of my worst games was against Indiana, man. This schedule. I mean, there were times when people complained about the schedule, but I don't know how you can complain this year, man, looking at all those games.
Well, 3
out.
of the games are at neutral sites.
I
We
don't
know
care,
that.
man.
But
I get it.
you talk about, nice pass again from Malachi Moreno.
Yeah. Malachi is going to get some minutes, man. He has impressed.
Well, those are games that'll get them ready for NCAA tournament play. I realize they're in November and December, but then you slide right into conference play. And how do you see the SEC now compared to when you played?
Well, I think obviously it's as a league overall, it's deeper. There's no question about that. There's more teams who are really, really good. And we had some good teams back in the day, but it's the SEC.
You couldn't even consider, with all due respect, a team like Florida winning the national title.
No.
Back in the day. Alabama goes to the Final Four, then the Elite Eight.
Yes.
And Alabama had some really good teams under CM and under Wimp Sanderson.
Yes.
But there's just so much more depth now. Players finding their way, and of course you got the portal and the NIL dollars and things like that. But
another thing I like, Gabe, and this is no shot at the coaches who were in the league when I played. But, man, there's some darn good coaches in this league, man. I think every team has a coach who is really good.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think that makes a difference. And that
schools
means
are pouring money into salaries, into facilities. It's just more important now.
Yeah.
Back in the day, way back in the day, the basketball coach was an assistant football coach. Not anymore. And there you see what lies ahead for the Wildcats starting in January. And Florida is on the schedule a couple times. You got to go to Tennessee. And, of course, Texas now on the schedule. A visit to John Calipari's Arkansas Ball Club. But you never know from night to night what you're going to get in the SEC.
Well, you're going to get challenged.
You are.
That's one thing you do know you're going to get.
Twice in 3 weeks, brother, you're playing the Gators.
Yeah, and – we've always kind of played Florida twice, but last year was a year I'm glad we got Florida here and we didn't have to go down to Gainesville, man. That was a really, really good team. But a lot of good teams. Going to be interesting to see what Tennessee has this year.
Got them twice.
Yeah, we got them twice. And Vandy always gives us a challenge down there in Nashville. So it's college basketball, baby, in the SEC. Not going to be an easy night.
No, but they will be prepped by that non-conference schedule. But because you've got this kind of depth, you can keep subbing until you find somebody who's going to heat things up for Mark Pope and the Kentucky Wildcats. We'll step out. More to come from UK Pro Day here at Memorial Coliseum.
Yes, Jasper. That's great patience. Good job, baby. Nice job, Jasper. Get out. Push. Let's go. Mo, you got to be my wall there. You're all the way over there. Hey, great job declaring ball. If someone declares ball, we're going to find our matchups, but you got to be a wall for me, okay? Here we go.
Mark Pope teaching and coaching here at historic Memorial Coliseum, and now at the end of practice, talking to his ball club. He'll join us here in just a few minutes, but every team in the NBA represented today, I got to think they were impressed with most of what they saw.
Well, they have to like how well Kentucky shot the basketball. And I'm not talking about just in the drills, but they had to like them shooting under pressure in the flow of the game against defenses. So, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of good athletes, a lot of passing, cutting. Brandon Garrison looked good, really good. I was very happy to see that. So, impressive workout.
Well, speaking of impressive workouts, the work that this team did in the weight room and in conditioning in the off season was pretty remarkable. As a ball club, it gained 55 pounds of muscle, 2 inches in jump height increase, increased sprint speed, lower body strength at 15%. They're not going to get pushed around, are they?
No, that's not going to be it better not be an issue. I mean, if it is, you're going to put more time even in the weight room. But, I watch these guys work. I watch some of the workouts, some of the stuff they do now. And I just think back to when I played, man, and I just say to myself, man, I wish we did that.
Yeah.
I wish we did that. I wish we did a lot more of that. And the reason is, and I'm thinking of it as a player, is because all the individual stuff they work on is geared, whether it's pointed out to the players or whether it's not, but it's geared to the next level. Everything we did was about team. and about your team here at Kentucky. But what these guys work on is about you as a player getting better individually. And that translates over to the pro game. And it makes a transition, if you get that opportunity, it makes the transition so much better for the players.
Individual workouts have been popular at a lot of places, a lot of programs have been incredibly helpful here at Kentucky for many, many years. And yeah, you know, back in the day, we keep talking about that, but you and I go back a long ways. But it seemed like you would hear about individual workouts once a player graduated and was preparing, hoping for a shot at the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, it's all geared now to the league.
Yeah.
And the game is played differently. What we did back then was good for the game
Sure.
at that time.
Yeah.
You know, there was ball movement and player movement, movement without the ball that is geared to get your shot in the floor of the offense. A lot of the stuff you do now is geared to enable you to go out there and get your own shot.
And by the way, your head coach was something of a pioneer when it came to conditioning and weights.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was what some of the stuff that Joe B. Hall introduced as an assistant coach under Adolph Rupp was unheard of, but it worked.
Yeah, we were the first team really to start incorporating weight training
Yes.
into our preseason workout. We were the first team to start doing that. Up until that point, everyone thought that the more you lifted weights, the worse shooter you became.
You get muscle bound.
You get too strong in the upper body,
Yeah.
too much muscle, so that takes away your touch.
How did you avoid
on
that?
your jump shots? Well, you have to shoot more shots. You have to go into the gym and lift, whether you want to or not. You go lift and you get stronger, and then you come in the gym and you just put up more and more shots. And that's what these guys do. So, you know, if you're only lifting weights and you're not shooting the basketball, yeah, it's going to affect your shooting. But if you lift weights and if you go ahead and put up shot after shot after shot after those workouts, it all feels natural.
Scott's got a good look at number 21 you saw there, Jaden Quaid's, before he was injured. But fans can't wait to see him when he's healthy. It's going to be a little while. But he's a guy who I think will obviously be the core of this team defensively and will make everybody else better defensively.
Yeah, and let me say this when we say it's going to be a little while, okay, because you might miss the message in that. When I say it's going to be a little while, part of the reason is because there is absolutely no reason to push it.
That's right.
There's absolutely no reason to bring him back before he is 100%. You don't want to bring a guy like Jaden Quaintance. You don't want to bring him back if he's 70%.
Right. No need.
So no need to do that. So when you say it's going to take a little time, understand that a big part of that is by design, not out of necessity. It's by design.
And the guy who designs it all is Mark Pope. He's joined us. Coach, tell us about today's practice. Thumbs up.
Yeah, I like our guys. I thought they were competitive like they always are. And I love that. It was nice because we've kind of had this white team together for a little while, and so they got their first kind of scrimmage-ish win today, which is something we've been looking for. Blue's been dominating for the last 4 days. But I like the guys, man. We got a lot of competitive guys. We have so many little pieces that we can tweak, and it's just a matter of getting to them. The little things we can try. This is going to be an incredibly fun team to coach and cheer for.
It took you a while to get that white team put together, man. I mean, one of the things I really like watching practice is all the different lineups you put out on the floor. Yeah. And I know that was by design because you probably wanted to see how this guy works with this one and all of that kind of stuff. But it has to be nice when you can put a different white team on the floor 5 days in a row.
What's been fun for me is
it's been fun and really challenging is usually I can stack a team and know the outcome. And I've tried for the last 5 days, I've tried to stack a team and get the predicted outcome in practice, and I can't. I've actually talked to the guys about that. Like, we try to trick it up and stack it, and who's playing well, let's put them all together, and then for sure the other team raises up. It's just like this is a team with great depth and great competitive spirit, and so it makes this. I mean, I can't wait. Like, it is such a joy to coach this group.
Something you talked about yesterday to the media was growth versus achievement.
Yep.
Is that something that has dawned on you gradually as a coach, or is that something that you've been trying to work into the way you do business?
Well, I think that you find words for something you've been experiencing. Like, you find words over time.
Right.
It's one of the things I loved. I was an English major here at the University of Kentucky, and I had some of the greatest teachers in the world. Dr. Bly, I talk about all the time. Dr. McCracken. And I would go into class, and one of the things I loved about English was I was having, as you did, having these unbelievable experiences and all this stuff, twisted up emotions, everything else. And then eventually you find the words that capture that. And I think this is one of those ideas that we are missing more than ever before now. It's this idea of like what we're going to focus on every single day is getting better, is growth. And if you do that, then the day after achievement is a fulfilling, awesome day because you're waking up the same day searching for growth. And the other part of that that's great is the day after failure is the same day. You're waking up chasing growth. And if you stack those days day after day after day and don't get distracted by the fickleness of achievement or the temporariness of failure, then where you end up is somewhere really, really special. And I don't want my guys just to do that in basketball. I want them to learn that in life because that is a life principle. And so our guys are trying to learn that as a team. They're trying to learn that in each other. They're trying to learn that in their lives, in school, in their social life. And it's something I believe in. You know, we are all about chasing growth. Achievement will follow, but it's always going to be a focus on growing, getting better, learning more, and the humility and curiosity that are the foundation of that.
To your point there, the fickleness of achievement, you just talked about, and a little while ago, you talked about stacking a team.
Yep.
What is the reason then for stacking a team?
Yeah.
What are you looking for when you put those guys out and you want to know the conclusion before you even get started?
Well, so actually, interestingly enough, we were just trying to see if we could do it. Like, could we actually put a team out there like this team is definitely going to come away with a win? We haven't been able to do that yet, which I love. You know, I think Jasper was talking yesterday in the media about iron sharpening iron.
Right.
And that was my experience here. That was my experience at Kentucky in such a huge way. Is, you know, we've talked about this for 30 years, is that our practices were so much harder than games, like almost, you know, with very few exception. And we felt like our second unit, and I say this because I was in the second unit, felt like our second unit probably could have been a Final Four national championship team. And so I got to play. Think about this, guys. I was coming off the bench the whole season, and got drafted and got to play almost a decade in the league because I grew so much every day going against, you know, first-round lottery picks, and I love that for our guys, and that again is a growth idea. And so it's good for our guys. It keeps the gym salty and a ton of joy and really competitive.
We talked to Coach McLean about just that, and I mentioned the fact that when you were here and you know, you spoke to us when we put the documentary together, everybody talked about 5-on-5. You guys didn't want to stop. Patino might say, we're done, and you say, no, we're going to do another one. And you're seeing that here, aren't you?
We actually ended up there today. We ended up in our transition drill, which wasn't great today. We've been regressing a little bit the last week in transition, which is a curious thing for us as coaches. But we actually saw that today when I tried to call it. The guys were like, no, we got to finish this. We got to get a winner.
That, didn't you?
I love it. It's just we have so many guys bringing that juice. You know, one of the ringleaders of that for sure is DA. He just he loves to compete, and he loves it. He's not scared of it. He wants the moment. He wants to go play. Mo Diabate wants to compete. We have so many guys. Colin Chandler wants to compete. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, frankly, I'm glad you brought Denzel up,
Yeah.
man, because I watched him at Florida, obviously. And I didn't know. I mean, I know he was valuable, and I watched enough of Florida to know that when he comes on the floor, they don't drop much. I mean, even with the starting guards they had at the level they were. But that guy's better than I thought he was.
Yeah, he's good. He's really good. You know, he's at a 1.18 points per possession right now, which is a big jump from where he was at Florida. He's shooting 47% from three in our first 2.5 weeks of practice. He's actually improving his 2-point percentage, which is an area of real growth for him. His assisted turnovers taking a massive jump. This summer he was, in the 25, 26, 27%. Now he's down in the low teens, to 11, 12, 13%. So he is really growing as a player, but he's a dangerous player. He's really skilled. He loves to compete. He just wants to compete.
He makes me nervous watching him, man, play D. I mean, he takes some of those guys, man.
Yes.
And he makes me a little bit nervous, man, because he goes at it so hard.
Yes.
Coach, we'll let you go with this. What does it mean to you as a guy who's lived a dream? And you just mentioned everything you were fortunate enough to accomplish, including an NBA career, to be able to put these guys in front of somebody from every NBA team.
Yeah, it's it's an unbelievable experience for our guys to come here, and the feedback that we get from this for our guys is priceless, because you'll get feedback from every single team on every single player, and our guys, every scout has a different take, so they see different things, but usually when you get all 30 teams represented, then you get some trends, and that's really powerful for our guys. It's something to pay attention to. It's a way for us to kind of give one more data point to how we're trying to grow and develop our guys. And it's an incredible experience for our guys to yet again have a chance to be in the gym and be undistractable, to be focused on what they're doing right now and to learn that skill and not being distracted by anything else that's going on around them. And this is ripe with distraction. I thought our guys were terrific today.
Coach, thanks for coming over. Congratulations.
Appreciate y'all.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, man.
That's going to do it for another UK Pro Day here at historic Memorial Coliseum. There's a good look at a guy who should a lot of these guys should really excite people. Jack, I know you're as excited as I've seen you in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I like to see teams grow. I like to see individuals grow, players, and these guys are here, Gabe, for a reason. And the main reason they're here is they're here because they want to. That's one thing with the transfer portal, because there are 100 other schools they could have gone to. And when you have guys like Denzel, guys you're looking at on the screen, when you have those kind of guys and they're here because they want to be. And that is the thing that I like most about the state of the game now.
It'll be here before long, the Wildcats with a couple of exhibitions, and then they start playing for real, and we will have it for you right here on the SEC Network. Thanks so much for joining us. For now, for our hardworking crew and my partner, Jack Givens, I'm Dick Gabriel. Madness comes up Saturday on SEC Network Plus, 6 p.m. Eastern. That's it. Good night from Lexington on SEC Plus.